Many people think they need a trust, but most people don't really need a trust. So, how are the ways that we can avoid probate without using a trust? Anything with a beneficiary on it will avoid probate. So, if you have a 401k or an IRA or some other type of retirement plan, you can name a beneficiary on that and it'll go directly to that beneficiary and avoid probate. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the beneficiary document supersedes the will. So if the will says one thing, the beneficiary document says a different thing, guess what? The beneficiary document supersedes the will, that wins out. So if you have an ex-spouse and you haven't changed the beneficiary, you probably want to go ahead and do that so your loved ones that you want to receive your assets rather than the ex-spouse who may not be your favorite person anymore. One other thing you want to look at is you can name somebody as joint tenant on property or something like that. And anyone who is joint will avoid probate. Now, there's a lot of reasons why you might not want to name somebody as joint tenant. We can cover that in a future episode, future video. But for now, you can use somebody as joint on something and it'll avoid probate. Now, I wouldn't name kids as joint on things for lots of reasons. We can cover that later. But just keep in mind, joint tenancy avoids probate. Also, you can name beneficiaries on things other than retirement accounts. You can name beneficiaries on a bank account, and that would be called a payable on death account. Or you can name a beneficiary on a brokerage account that's called a transfer on death account, and that will also avoid probate. So those are all ways we can avoid probate without the need for having trust. A lot of people may have a little bit more complicated situation and need trust because it's a little bit more complicated. And we can't avoid probate with property easily without a trust for the next generation. So again, we'll cover that later. But for now, keep in mind these ways to avoid probate without a trust. If you've got a more simple situation, you don't need a trust. Don't let anybody talk you into getting a trust unless you've got a more complicated situation. And please remember to like the video and subscribe and tune in for other things that we're going to be covering on why you might need a trust later on.